soft skills, which role did it play in your job and still play? How important is it?
Oh, it's enormously important, and I mean, I would, as much as it's been an interest of mine, I think it's also something that I have enormous space to improve on, and it's a continuous process to get better at it.
It's a continuous process, yes.
But what you said about a little bit about examples about how to, I think it was this question or the previous one you asked about how to motivate and develop, and what's the role of this. I think one good example of how to motivate someone to actually get buy-in behind what you want to do is that very commonly people focus on a problem.
Yes.
They focus on something that's wrong, and then that becomes the target.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when when the problem is the target, I find it's not always motivating enough. And instead, what I find better is very often turning the target into what is the problem stopping you from doing.
Yes.
So let's take a simple example, and what a very common one in the world, and let's say lower back pain, which really a lot of people in the world suffer from.
Yes.
Say it's you come to see somebody and you want the lower back pain fixed. Okay, that's great. For sure, it's important to have it fixed. But then when you start asking questions about, okay, why, or what is it stopping you from doing? You might be saying things like, I can't lift my kid from the floor. I'm not able to play squash on every Thursday with my mates like I used to in the past. I'm not able to sleep properly. I have to take medications on a weekly basis. And then you start asking, how long has that been going on? Okay, it's been going on for 5 years or 10 years. And then if you're a 40-year-old guy and you say, okay, 10 years of your life, last 10 years, you've been struggling with this problem, which you haven't been able to do all these things which you love. That's a quarter of your life. And suddenly there's the sort of situation sinks in for the people, because they realize how much it's affecting the things that they love to do and how much they mean for them. And then suddenly you have buy-in. And then what happens after is then you have to be able to provide that plan, have that understanding of those layers, understanding of the performance plan. Okay, how do we get from here out? What is the next 4 or 8 weeks going to look like, so that in 8 weeks you're going to be playing squash? What can we do for that? So that's I find this is a very good example of how I find getting buy-in is that's one way. It's one way to do it, and I find it's just you need to get to the things that really mean a lot to the people. Exactly. So you make it intrinsic by doing this. Yeah, I'm not a psychologist, but I try to help people. So yeah,
it's a lot of psychology. Yes.
Yeah. I find it's just, you need to figure out something bigger than the problem, because the problem often is not motivating it enough. You need to figure out what it's stopping them from doing. And this can be applied to so many things in different fields as well. But lower back pain, the pain is an easy example of this. So you can also bring it into many other fields of habits we might have, and so on and so on. So
that is people skills.
It's a good framework. Yeah.
Also, to promote global cultural awareness, how important it is, even in your job as well. You can have clients from different countries, and the team can be full of people around the world, the team you are working with, and not all from Finland. How important is that in your work, global cultural awareness, which luckily you've got already instilled in your childhood because you could travel and live abroad? How important is that?
I think it's extremely important. Well, there's one thing about my job. I obviously work with one individual, but then, like, I would just speak about coaching in general with people. I find it's extremely important because, first of all, I think we need to realize that we are all different. We have our different past experiences. We have our histories. We have our cultures, where we come from, values, targets, purpose. We have all these things and we are all different. But at the same time, what I find is that where we often share a lot of similar things or similar habits is the fact that very often our weaknesses are our strengths overdone. So as an idea, I find that's very powerful, because let's say a weakness, or let's say a strength of attention to detail. It can be such a powerful thing. It's something that we like you can get obsessed about a topic. You go into the smallest detail, and you're able to produce the best understanding of a topic and create something new understanding on a science field, or anything. You dig deep, and you don't give up until every last stone has been turned and you find the answer. That can be so strong and powerful.
Yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, the situations when it also has when it goes too far, it takes too long to come to a decision. It takes far
Yes.
too long to come. You get this. You don't. You're waiting too long to get an answer. And for example, in fields like in sport, where often decisions have to be made quite fast, you
Yes.
just don't have the time to get or turn every stone. You don't have the time to figure out everything, and you have to be able to trust yourself before and say, okay, yes, this is the answer. So that's a classic example of a strength. Attention to detail, perfectionism in that sense is a good thing, but at some situations it goes too far, and it slows you
Yes.
down, and it makes you just not able to respond, and it sort of chokes you.
Yes.
So what I want to say about the cultural difference is that yes, we are different, but we have also very many similarities on how we function, and how we sort of how we should be understanding behavior. So this, I think this happens in every single culture. And it just liberates us to liberates a coach and a person himself to look at a topic like this, because suddenly you're not moralizing or judging somebody. You don't
Yes.
have to tell them that they are just slow. You're slow at making decisions. No, that's not
Yes.
the problem. The problem is that you just you have such an interest to make it perfect. You want to find out everything, and that in certain situations makes you a bit slow to decide. And we need to work on that. And it's
Yeah.
just it's not a problem. It's just the side effect of something that you are so good at.
Yes. It's not
And
a problem. Yeah.
I find that's something that's the realization of this, I find, has made dealing with people and discussing different problems with friends or colleagues or athletes, I find it makes it a lot easier.
It's I like it how you said it's not a problem. It's just different, or the way you deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What does it mean to reach one's full potential, and how can you see that even as a coach, whether I'm using my full potential?
Now that is a big question. I think full potential is a very difficult word, and difficult concept, because I think, yeah, we in Hintsa have this phrase that we use quite often, which is don't maximize, but rather optimize.
Oh, I like that.
And it basically points the direction that we just cannot be maximizing every single area. It's just not possible. That's not how life works. We don't have the time to be the absolute maximum best skydiver, the best Formula One driver, the best father, the best husband, the best everything. We don't have a unlimited time, so we have to be able to put our sort of spread our time into different interests and be at a best compromise. I think the
Yes.
best word is, what is the best compromise for you to reach the targets that you want to reach and things that are important for you. So you need to narrow down what is actually important for you and
Yeah.
put the time on those things. That's what it really counts, and what really matters. And in this helps again understanding I'm a very logical person, in the sense that you probably already saw that from my layering, from how I
Yes.
sort of logically layer and try to understand performance in different areas.
Yeah.
And you need to have that under control and understand where performance comes from in being a being a husband or a father or an athlete in different sports, and then invest your time accordingly based on your interests. So that's where what it comes down to, in my opinion. But just to continue, I think it's actually easier to probably answer when you are not at full potential. So in my opinion, I would say there's two key signs of that. And this applies to everybody in my opinion. So firstly, it's the fact that if you are unable to deal with your negative self-talk, I think it would be a complete myth to say that we don't have negative self-talk. Everybody has it. Everybody has a bad moment. Everybody has a bad day.
Yes.
Everybody gets this. There's a time when something difficult happens in our life, and it's not gonna be easy. But it's the ability to deal with that
Yes.
differentiates a lot of people, because then you're able to move on. You're able to turn from something that you cannot control into what you can control. You turn solution oriented. You have an awareness of yourself. You're able to understand, okay, what is happening right now? What is my mind telling me? Is it telling me sensible things, or is it telling me is it just putting me down, telling me that I'm not good enough, telling me that I'm not mentally strong, telling me this and this and this? Those things have nothing to do with reality. You have to turn it into something that you can do. So first thing, unable to deal with your negative self-talk, I don't think you can be at full potential. And then the second one is if you're not physically fit. It's such a potent drug, exercise and being fit. I find if there was ever a pill that gave the benefits of exercise, everybody would be on it. I mean, the best example is to look at what happens if you are not physically fit. And I'm not talking about, you don't have to be running a 3-hour marathon or 2 or 30 minutes 10K or anything like that, but just have a reasonable level of fitness. If you're not, you're probably not sleeping well.
Yes.
At a young age, you probably start to get the lifestyle diseases, the blood pressure and the diabetes and all these things. You probably start to get some muscular pain. You have your back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain. You probably start gaining weight. You cannot do the life things that you enjoy. It's just physical fitness is such a strong thing. And if you're not fit, I don't think you can be at your full potential. At least you cannot sustain it. You might be for a little moment in time, but to sustain your whole say working career or your whole life, you will not be able to do that. So I think that's how I would explain it.
That's so interesting. And you've mentioned actually so many areas of emotional intelligence that must play a huge role in your job, whether it's this self-talk, self-managing, self-awareness, all areas of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, well, I think it's just whenever you deal with people, I think we all have this. Like I said, I'm not a psychologist, but I think we all, when we are dealing with people, we need to have this understanding of people, and it just helps us both get a win-win. We always want that when we're with people. You don't normally want to leave somebody hanging. You want everybody both wins. So that's what you're trying to achieve.
So beautifully, really so beautifully said. When we are dealing with people, and we are dealing with people, whether in the corporate world, in sports, wherever, we are dealing with people, and we should have at least a bit of, that skill if we want to be successful, whatever success means for every individual.